Welcome, everyone. We are about to kick off a session on data enabling carbon and energy trading in Shell. Shell is very proud to be part of the Smart India Hackathon and speak to you all about how we apply different technologies in the business. Yes, so as you are solving problem statements and you are part of the hackathon and you are creating software and hardware solutions, this probably will help you how technology is used in the real world. Yes, just to give you a brief introduction. So within Shell, as we power energy transition, the pace of digital adoption is accelerating at an almost exponential rate. Yeah, we are accelerating our digitalization journey and are powering progress for energy transition. So digitalization has enabled 2 billion of process improvements, cost reductions, $2 billion worth, cost reductions, production increases, and increased customer margins across Shell businesses in just 2020, which is 2 years ago. Yeah. Today, we have over 100 or more AI applications in various stages of development. We have reached over 1.9 trillion rows of data in our data lake, and perhaps more now. We're monitoring over 10,000 pieces of equipment using machine learning across assets in upstream, downstream, manufacturing, and integrated gas. We are building new energy systems, and we have over 80 million digitally connected customers via loyalty programs. So this, is a brief introduction to what Shell does. And before I hand over to our speakers, let me take you through a safety moment. We do that in Shell all the time. So Charles, if you could change the slide, please. Oh, yes. And a cautionary note before we carry on, that the information in this presentation is for this presentation alone. The numbers that are shared are dummy numbers. So no confidential information has been shared here. Yeah. Moving on, Charles. Yeah. So taking a moment for safety, whether you are at home or if you're seated anywhere else, in a cafe, at work, wherever you are, please be aware of your emergency exits. Please be seated comfortably. Please have the volumes of your headset such so that you know what's going on around you. Hopefully there will be no emergencies to attend to, but should you need to attend to a situation, please do so. And in Shell, we always advise that if you are on the move in a car, driving, or on any other mobile vehicle, please do not be on this call. Yeah, we find that this is a big safety hazard. So with that, we will look at our agenda really quickly. Yeah, okay. So the agenda is reshaping energy systems for 10 minutes, tools and technologies for another 10 minutes, data enabling trading and supply of energy commodities for 20 minutes, and then we'll have another 15 minutes for Q&A. But we will pause after every one of these topics just to check if you have certain pressing questions that we can, one or two that we can take up really quickly before we move on to the next topic. So with that, I welcome Rupesh Dahuja and Ravi Shankar Reddy. They are both data engineers. They are experts in Shell, and they have handled data solutions for the trading and supply organization. So they will tell you about how we manage, how data is enabling, the digitalization journey in Shell.
Good morning to all. Okay, coming to the real topic, that is about the energy transition and digitalization. I'm not talking about any organization specific anything. There is a big problem for the entire world. What is that big problem is climate change. Yes, we all know, right? That is a huge impact of the climate change in sense. Towards do that climate change, we need to work a lot of things to overcome that climate change. What is the main thing that we need to concentrate as a responsible person on the world, right? Everyone is looking towards to the new energy system. The entire world is looking into the new energy system to meet growing energy demand for human development in process of preventing our terrible climate change. This is more important actually. So which areas digitalization is playing an important role going forward in the future, near future in sense? Yes, digital technologies is going to play a role in reducing the carbon footprint, helping to offer low carbon energy solutions to customers, enabling the next generation of the clean energy technology. Again, I am telling, we are not looking for the energy transition. We are looking for the clean energy technologies. How we will achieve this in sense? By using the digital technologies. I believe that the next 10 years will be shaped by two mega trends. What are those two mega trends in sense? Energy transition and digitalization. According to the recent report, which was published by our PwC and Microsoft, it was estimated that the application of artificial intelligence could reduce worldwide greenhouse gas emissions by 4% in 2030. This amount is an equivalent to the 2.4 GT CO2, and this amount is an equivalent to the 2030 annual emissions, which is combinations of Australia, Canada, and Japan. They are releasing the emissions, combined emissions by 2030. And at the same time, as a productivity improvements, artificial intelligence could create 38.2 million new jobs across the globe with these two transformations. Just again, I am stating this by using this digitalization transformations and the energy transition in artificial intelligence area, nearly 38.2 million new jobs are going to be created. That more skilled occupations as part of these transitions. And I believe these technological innovations is a key thing to help us in making the massive changes that are required towards our transition actually. In digital space, as a shell, we are also building our in-house capability organically, and today our core team contains many data engineers, visualization engineers, architects, bunch of specialists, and this is going forward. This will be increased.
So I'm going to share the Menti code with everyone. To ask questions, please go to a website called www.menti.com, MENTI.com, and please type in the code 69425423.
This slide deck especially. This slide deck contains the tools and technologies that are widely, commonly using in the two capabilities called data and analytics space. Okay, from down to bottom and from bottom to up, I will start explaining. These are the tiles. I can call it as tiles or some rectangular boxes. First one is about the data ingestion. Second is about the advanced analytics. Third thing is about the data processing. Fourth one is about the data storage. And finally, the fifth one is about the virtualization. I will start from the downwards. So that data, once it is storing into the OLTP system, that need to be loaded into the data warehousing system. That data warehousing system, anything, whatever it is. So to load that data, we have a multiple tools in the market. So this capability talks about the data data ingestion, which are widely using by 4 technologies. Coming to the next, once you are loading the data, you need to use some tools to perform some analytics. I mean, in analytics, we have two kinds of basic analytics and the advanced analytics. Going forward, in my last slide also, we have talked more about the artificial intelligence, right? Some people are also enabled their machine learning activities. So those things will be performed by using the Python, PyCharm, and using the Azure Analysis Service and C3. These are the widely used tools, especially for the advanced analytics. And coming to the third tile, this tile talks for data processing capability. Data processing in sense, yes, we got the data from the sources into the target, and that is exactly replica of the source system. But for the analytics purpose, we need to cleanse the data. We need to make the data as a quality. We need to enrich that data quality. We need to transform that data. How we will do all these transform, cleanse, quality, everything, right? by using the data processing tools. And coming to the fourth slide style, this slide talk about the platforms, data storage. Yes, we are talking about the data warehouse solutions, right? Data warehouse systems. What are those data warehouses? In sense, again in SAP HANA is a data warehouse solution, and in Microsoft Azure we have different services to store the data. Once we have stored the data, we ingested the data, we have processed the data, we have implemented the analytics. What we are going to do, in sense, we are going to present this data to our leadership, I mean to our business users. How we will present that data to the business users, in sense, by using the different visualization tools. This is the history about technologies and tools that are using from bottom to end. I mean, from data ingestion, data processing, storage, visualization. These are the tools. And while doing this process from down to bottom, from bottom to up, we need to work with different tools. Example, this style talks about data management. And finally, once you have developed, you are developing that whatever the ingestions, all those things in the development box. And again, you need to move that objects to the quality system and the pre-production system and to the production system. This migration definitely need to be happen for every project, for every developer. This we will call it as a application lifecycle management. And some people will call it as a CI/CD as well. CI/CD in sense continuous improvement and continuous development. So the conclusion is, in order to enable the data and analytics capabilities, these are the tools that are widely using most of the organizations. I am done with these tools and technologies. Thanks for your time. I will pause here if you have any questions in Menti.
So yes, there are questions on Menti. So one of the questions that has been voted up is how AI will transform the energy sector. Ravi Shankar, do you want to take a quick stab at that one?
Yes, that actually a good point, actually. Digitalization transformation as part of the previous slide, artificial intelligence,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Definitely. Now we are working towards energy mixing, right? Energy mixing. As of now, we are targeting only for the energy generation based on the coal, oil, and gas. But towards energy transition, we are more working on the net zero emission energy system. To achieve the net zero emission. What are the possibilities that we have, in sense hydrogen mobility, e-fluids,
Electric cars,
battery storage,
yes,
electric
solar,
cars,
wind.
all those things. Exactly.
So Shell has, just a quick one, right? So let me just interrupt you here, Ravi. So we have, let's say, the largest solar farm in Europe. Shell has the largest solar farm in Europe, in the Netherlands. We have the wind farms in North Sea in Europe. We have, we have hydrogen being deployed, aviation fuel, the first renewables aviation fuel flight has already happened with KLM. So the more people want to use renewables and greener energy solutions, the more we will have demand to produce more greener energy systems. So that's one. Now, how does AI come into this mix? AI comes into this mix because AI helps us do predictive maintenance. AI also monitors, right, the customer demands and needs. So if we know that people want more and more hydrogen, then our data systems tell us, in the background, that no, there will be more increased demand for hydrogen. The predictive maintenance piece helps us reduce our carbon footprint. So carbon emissions, right? We are trying to reduce the carbon emissions so that we don't have global warming, right? The greenhouse effect. So if we reduce our carbon emissions in our production environment, in the different assets, the refineries, the different places that Shell has work, then we will be able to have a lower carbon footprint. And Shell has set a target that by 2050, we will be a net zero emissions company. That means all our carbon we will have zero carbon emissions. So therefore, we need to kind of work to create new energy environments, like Ravi Shankar was saying. And what AI helps us do in our refineries and such, when we have all the sensors, when we have different sensors in different tubes and pipelines and things, then the sensors help, the sensors help us gather the data, and then AI helps us process that data fast enough to tell us, oh, maybe that pipe needs repair so that there is no leakage. Maybe that asset needs this help so that there is no problems. So this is the way, this is a very basic way that I have explained. I now hand over to Ravi.
So next, my colleague Rupesh Dahuja is going to talk about one of the critical use case in general energy industry.
Hello everyone, my name is Rupesh Dahuja. I'm also part of the data analytics team. It's been 12 years almost, working in this data analytics domain here. So today, the generic scenario we're going to talk about is, trading and supply of energy commodities. But before we move to the scenario, let's understand in general how, energy commodity scenario works, right? So as you can see on the screen now that, let's say we are doing a trading of oil, right? So we want to buy oil for, let's say X and X dollars, and we want to sell it for Y and dollars to a particular place, right? So that's a typical, in layman terms, that's what a trading is all about, right? And now to basically, transfer that oil from a place A in the world to a place B in the world, one of the mechanisms, which we could use is ships, right? So I can always, place a request to different vendors that I need a vessel to carry my oil from place A to place B, over sea, right? Now, vendors typically what they do in general, right? Whenever you go to any vendor, right, they will always provide a list of, companies they have, right? So that they could provide goods and service from that. But how would you decide that which is the best vendor for us, which is the best ship for us to carry those that oil or any other energy commodity, right? So at the bottom you see there are another two other departments, commercial and assurance. Commercial will actually help us to arrange the best deal. They have a huge checklist, they go through all the whole of checklist and actually help us to arrange the best deal at the lower cost. So in terms of cost, they of course going to help us. But apart from cost, what matters a lot, I'm just using the word lot because it really brings a difference, is assurance. Is this ship safe to carry the goods and service goods or not, right? So again, the assurance team also has a huge checklist, where we just taking a few examples, right? That what has been the history of that ship has for different ships there will be reports, there will be frequent inspections being done, right? So what has been the history of the inspections? Has it been, that ship has a good rating or not in past, right? Is that safe or not? So that what assurance team will do and give the results. So all in all, these 5 boxes you see in the screen as kind of 5 departments, they work together to carry that energy commodity, which is oil in this case, from place A to place B. So as we have seen just now on the previous screen that as we interact with multiple systems, which also means that our data could be scattered in different those different groups, right, or different systems. So one of the general scenario which we just want to talk about is it may happen that because there are multiple systems which are interacting for a shipping scenario. So data is also scattered across multiple systems, and if we have to get an overview exposure of maritime, the word maritime, if it's new for people, right? So any activities we're doing on the sea, right? So let's say shipping, it's a maritime activity. So it's very difficult to get an overall exposure of our maritime activities, right? Because if data is scattered. So one of the possible solutions could be that we collect and integrate the data together, right? So we have data sitting in some external systems, some internal systems. So we actually integrate data together from all those operational systems. On top of that, what we could also do is especially for this scenario, we could also get the real-time live tracking data from the vessels also to get those live feeds. And the resultant of this would be we could have a beautiful dashboards which has got very meaningful insights and can actually help us in accurate decision making. So on the right you see this diagram for data analytics real time. So I just mentioned data is going to play a great role in this because we are collecting it from multiple systems, right? Getting everything together. And we are using that real time to collect the real time live tracking of vessels of data. And at the center you see the analytics. That's what is going to play a important role. Analytics will combine the data from these operating systems and the real time data, and is going to help business to take very important decisions. So again, this is like a generic technical data flow, which could be used to attain the business scenario, which I just explained in the previous slide. So as you can see on the screen, there are three major big boxes: your sources, we have ingestion, transformation, and storage, and the last box is visualization. So I'll start with sources. So we might have different kinds of sources. Our internals, there could be internal systems, like it could be some on-premise databases where our data for operating systems could reside. It could be a shared point, but we could also have external systems like which are providing live feeds of the vessels, from the sensors which are fitted on those vessels. So these are some typical sources that we might have in such a scenario. And coming to the center box where you say ingestion, transformation, and storage, as you can already see, for this example, we just the assumption that, let's say, we are building this whole setup using on Azure cloud platform, and that's why you see all the technologies mentioned here are mostly the Azure technologies on the Azure cloud platform. It is a final storage layer, which will be the baseline for all the visualizations. All right. So in our in this particular example, we are using let's say Power BI, for the visualization. So all the integrated data, it goes to Power BI to provide various data insights, right, which business could use to take various important decisions. And then we also have put here a live tracking dashboard. So as I mentioned, from external systems, we could get the live data of, let's say, vessels or any other things, and then integrate with the internal data which might be sitting in your curated layer, and then we merge it and then shows a live tracking dashboard of our vessels. So taking example again, so let's say you are traveling. I'm taking a very general example. So let's say I have to travel from Delhi to Amsterdam, right? And I'm taking a flight, and then in between I take that flight via Dubai, right? So I'm taking now, and so when I'm taking a flight from Delhi, I'm taking from a particular terminal, and then when I'm reaching Dubai, I'm taking another terminal, right? From there, my flight to Amsterdam would be from another terminal. In similar way, when ships are actually traveling from place A to place B, they will go through various terminals. So we have a lot of terminals where ships will go. They might have activities like loading of and do loading as well. There are some terminals which are specifically meant for storage. It might happen that we need to pick up some oil or some containers from a terminal on the way as well, right? And after passing those terminals, that's how we reach the final destination. And their assurance actually plays a great role, which I mentioned in the very beginning as well. So a very typical example, it might happen that the ship is too huge and not to fit in a specific terminal also. So that's what assurance does as well, right? That before even we start the journey, we ensure that then all the checklist is done. The ship can fit in a terminal. It's a very simple example, but there are other checklists also. That ship might not have a good rating, so we need to ensure that it should have a good rating. Then only we do a trade. Otherwise, we don't do it.
So similarly, like if you order a computer in UK, the plug point is different. Now,
Exactly.
if that computer is shipped to India, then we have a problem because those plug points don't work in India.
Exactly.
So the Indian customer will be like, oh, wow, this is completely like, why am I getting this? This plug doesn't even work. So what use is this computer to me, right? So,
Correct.
so to avoid any of those small process gaps, our teams, then our data teams gather this data, and some of the data is older data, right? So we've been working, Shell has been around for 130 years. So we have a lot of information, but not all of it is in a data cloud. Not all of it is in the cloud. So one, we are trying to process that data and put it in the cloud. And then we use that historic data to say, okay, yeah, we know that port requires this kind of ship. Now, in today, when that ship is leaving, does that match or not? If it doesn't match, that ship can't leave the port. So
exactly.
Similarly, so for instance, if you place your order on an Amazon or Flipkart or whatever website for the computer to come to your doorstep, they will check that a UK computer doesn't land up in India because the plugs and the monitors and whatever, the specifications are all different. So they will make sure. So Amazon then, or whoever it is, right, the supplier then makes sure that, or should make sure that the product that is ordered by the client actually meets the client's requirements. So that is the journey that we try and.
So we just talked about technology, right? Which could help us create that, build up that business scenario. Now there's just some some snapshots we want to just showcase you in general, right? So, So let's talk about, we talked about live tracking. So how, you see here, it's like a map of the world where you see, these green dots showing vessels, they are floating somewhere around the world, carrying something, right? And we could actually get a lot of information from these live vessels, like, it's the name, actually the IMO number, which is a registered number of a vessel. So in layman terms, if I have to tell you, every vehicle has a registration number. In the same way, IMO number is a registered number for each vessel. Then you also have information which you get is about the weight of the vessel, what are the crew who are traveling on those vessels, who are part of that vessel, what's its started and ended, and so on the bottom you see where is actually current location of vessel. If you see even the vessel is actually sharing the boundaries from different countries, even we can get that info as well. That is even possible. We could also get where the next destination, where our vessel is headed to. So these are the kind of things or insights we can get through a live tracking also. Yeah. So if I am going from place A to place B, and define the places that it's from, let's say India to Europe, that's become my voyage, right? So there are like in dummy number showing there could be 186 active voyages. And we are doing some data quality checks also here, right? You see a bit of I'll maybe that let's say if a vessel was approved, right, or was rejected maybe for some reason. So we have like 18 rejected clearances also. So these are some of the information we could get. This bottom one I've just kept it open as white so that you could also think of some insights you may get. So when I talk about those voyages, right, or they could be like time charter, spot charter, third parties as well. Time charter is a typically a word used for vessels which we have might have hired for longer term, right? And we could use for different purposes. Spot charter, so we all book Ola these days, right? To go book a taxi and go from place A to place B, right? So it's not that far, might not be as fast as Ola, but spot charter normally means hiring it for a shorter time, right? For a specific voyage only. So those are some more analysis based on type of vessel also we could do using these data insights. So I think most of us might have heard about Russian-Ukraine crisis recently, right? So in such global situations, if we have these meaningful data insights, right, like the vessel tracking, live tracking of vessels, it can always help us, in taking, the business decisions, to ensure the safety and security of our crew members. And if I talk from Shell's perspective, Shell always, I think Ruchi touched about in the beginning as well, that we always focus a lot on safety and security of everyone, right? So I think these data insights can always help anybody to ensure safety and security of crew members as well.
Just like Uber and Ola keep saying
Yes,
that our passengers are safe, right?
exactly.
So they have to ensure that when you are taking their taxis, that the taxis are okay, that the taxis are fit, that the fit for the journey. The taxi drivers know how to drive well. That so there's so many different data points, and the Olas and Ubers and different transportation or logistics companies and trading companies of the world use similar systems to monitor that quality and that safety and that assurance, right? So yeah, so that helps in these global scenarios, as Rupesh is saying.
Yeah, thanks, Ruchita. So we have another generic scenario. Some of you might have heard about Suez Canal, right? So in 2021, so basically, if someone is not aware, so it's basically human-made waterway that connect the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea. So it's the shortest maritime route from Asia to Europe. And so in March 2021, it was blocked by a huge ship, as you can see in the picture. So in such situations or in similar situations, again, these data insights can be very helpful to us, right? To anybody, right? If we have those live tracking of vessels, and if I know in time, right, I can take some really important. Our business can take any really important decisions. For example, we could think of rerouting our ships also, right, which will save a cost, and and it could be other important decisions also. To give an example here is that every day we go to a retail station, and then we buy petrol, or we buy at Shell stations you might have other shops also, we could buy chips or cold drink or anything. Every single data we actually track, because we understand the need of the data, and we know that it can actually help us derive various beautiful insights. So the answer is yes. Now, what tools and technologies? Yes, I think we are growing very fast in using multiple tools and technologies in various areas. We just talked about data analytics technologies. We talked about AI as well. We talked about predictive also. So we are covering almost in every of those areas, so that we could utilize our data in the best way possible. Yeah. So Ravi would like to add something.
For example, we are talking most of the thing as a big data volumes, right? We spoke a lot of things about the data processing, data ingestion and all. Okay, that is okay for the big data volumes. And sometimes we are getting some requests. We need to combine the two different energy systems like wind energy and the solar energy at one report. So in order to do that, what is our traditional procedure? We need to load the data from here to here physically. So how much effort, cost that is required? And why can't we think about just to combine these two tools as a virtually and provide that data to user with super performance without impacting the performance? That is the lack that we need to think innovatively instead of going in the traditionally way, loading the data physically, just to combine the data and show that data, combined data to the business user without compromising the performance. As someone questioned Hadoop, yes, obviously we can use that one. But again, what are the factors and what are the requirements and what is the cost? What is the timelines? All this comes into picture. Definitely Hadoop is a good tool for the data and analytics areas. It will be useful.